Is it good morning or good afternoon yet still?
Still morning. Still morning.
Well, we just came back from Africa and we're kind of tired. So I think it's still night, right?
Yes, currently evening in Nairobi.
Well, good morning. Happy Sabbath. Glad each one of you are here today. There's one announcement that I'd like to make that made it up there on the board, but I'm not sure. I didn't read it, so maybe you didn't either. But District Sabbath. District Sabbath is the 24th, and it's going to be in Crookston. So, what is it? Is this December or September? August. August. This month, September, 2 weeks. Huh? You said September. I told you I'm still reeling from. It's September. It's in 2 weeks. It's
August
24th in 2 weeks, and it would be. I made that mistake in the. Yeah. Well, pretty soon I'm not going to have that excuse of jet lag. Probably shouldn't have it now, but.
To clarify, it's August 24th.
2 weeks from today. I'm just going to make it simple. 2 weeks from today, you figure out the date. Then it's not my fault, right? Anyway, District Sabbath in Crookston, where everybody gets together and we can worship together with a larger congregation. But yeah, we were in Africa a while ago. Actually, we just came back 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
It was 2 weeks ago. We came back the 24th, which was 2 weeks ago. It was pretty amazing, and so I'm going to ask them a few questions, and they're going to share a little bit about their experience. Go ahead and turn on the PowerPoint. There we go. I don't know that I was supposed to be doing that.
You arranged it to go backwards, dude. There we go.
All right. I'm not pushing it. It's. Mark, can you go in there and put everything to click only, not auto advance? Sorry about that, guys. While we're waiting for that to happen, though, we can. How was your trip to Africa?
Good.
How was it good? Like, why was it good?
I got to spend a bunch of time with kids.
So I guess you really enjoy kids, huh?
Yes, I do.
What did you like most about the kids?
How even if they were really busy and had school or chores, they always made time to come and have a VBS lesson.
Awesome. Did they learn anything in that VBS lesson?
I don't know.
What were they supposed to learn?
About God
How?
and how He loves everyone and wants to spend time with them.
And that's what you were presenting in. Did anything else happen in Lolgorian?
I got malaria.
Seriously?
Yes.
Didn't you take meds to not get malaria?
I did, but I forgot about them.
So what can you tell us about your experience with malaria?
I got malaria because I forgot to take my malaria pills and spray myself down with bug spray. The next day, I felt sick and was very cold, although people said I was running a fever. There were several people smothering me with care. I had no appetite, but people were telling me to eat. People kept coming by to check on me. At the end, I heard that malaria could be deadly. People were impressed with how well I put up with it, and they said they could see God working through me. In the beginning, I was miserable, but in the end, I got so much better. There was a clinic I went to get checked. It was really clean, and they knew what they were doing. I was expecting to have my blood drawn in a tube, but it was just a little prick. The clinic was only a short walk from our hotel. Alex, one of our friends, and the receptionist at our hotel took me to the clinic. I felt silly because I had the malaria meds, but I forgot to take them, so I was sick. The doctors told me they found malaria in my bloodstream. They gave me some medication to take to get over it. I also got an injection to help speed the healing process. They were really kind and made me laugh a lot. I felt bad because Alex and Christina had to miss their visitation that day. I was sad because for the next few days, I couldn't see the kids because I felt so bad and miserable.
Thank you for sharing. You didn't speak too fast and you were easily understood. I appreciate that. You should do this next week too, and then you'll be like 3 times better. Okay. Well, maybe you can do it at school, right?
I have to.
Nice. Well, this here is Andrea's experience or pictures of what she did in Kenya. Not yet. Okay, so she hung out, went sightseeing, swimming. This is when we first got to Kenya. This is in Nairobi. So one of the missionaries there, and this lady here is the youth director. Really cool lady.
Jenny.
Yeah, and who's this?
My adopted brother.
Micah.
And then evidently her adopted sister, and those two. Oh, and this was in Nairobi. These guys here. I don't know if you listened to the news, but while we were gone, when we got there, there was a riot in town. It was supposed to be a peaceful protest, but the government also wants to hype things up. So,
Wednesday,
which means?
that there were protests. No protests. It was the next day that there were protests.
Well, okay, but they're still there because of the protest.
Yes.
They're still there because of the protest. So they tried to take care of peaceful people, I guess. This is a
Fully German library in Nairobi.
German library in Nairobi. Sorry. Okay.
This is Micah being in complete bliss because he is teaching himself how to speak German. I am grandmother.
And what's this?
That's a waterfall at the museum, and
This is just a waterfall that was behind a zoo. I'm not going to eat the foam.
All right. Now thank you very much, Andrea. If you would like, you can stay up here and look at all these beautiful people or sit down. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Intrigued?
Okay.
Why are you speaking in this tone of voice now?
You went to Nairobi as well, yes?
Obviously.
Why did you go? There's one question I didn't ask you. Why did you go to Nairobi? I'm thinking it's similar. Why did you go to Nairobi?
First,
Or
to see
Kenya?
the animals.
To see the animals? How about you?
I went because I've always wanted to go to Africa.
Okay. Always go to Africa
I have to be honest, it was for the animals.
for the animals. Well, something got you there, right?
It got me.
Now, did you experience anything in Kenya, or would you ever go back?
Definitely.
Why would you go back? If you got malaria, why would you go back? Sure.
I would go back because even though I got malaria, it was one of the best experiences of my life, and I truly felt God working there.
Would you go back? Would you go anywhere else besides Africa? Would you
Yes.
go anywhere else?
Yes.
Just anywhere, right?
Yes.
I think that's pretty cool that you go. How about you, Christina? Would you go anywhere else?
Anywhere the Lord takes me.
So first, they're going just because they want to go, but now they're ready to go anywhere else. I think that's a little bit more than just natural desire. All right, now you can go sit down.
Are you sure?
No.
Just sit there then.
So you would go back to, well, you had a really good experience then, I guess.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so what brought you here to Minnesota? I mean, like, you didn't grow up in Minnesota, right?
I did not.
So where did you grow up?
I
Just a little bit louder, yeah, eat it.
I grew up in Idaho.
Idaho. All right, well, did you have a good childhood, a good upbringing?
I wish.
Oh, but, okay, so do you think God let those things happen to you, or?
I think he did.
So what,
I know he did.
It wasn't good.
No,
It was, would you say it was bad?
I would say that.
Why, what makes it bad? Like, what was it?
Have you ever heard a thing called trauma?
Trauma, yes. Yeah, I have head trauma, physical trauma.
Close enough.
So you had a little bit more trauma.
I had a lot more trauma.
Can I guess emotional, physical, mental, all of them, huh?
All of them.
And so what brought you out here? Why did you come out here?
I needed a change of scenery.
Well, this is
And
different than
my
Idaho.
PTSD. Yeah, obviously. It's a different
Do you think you would have gone to Kenya if you hadn't come out to Minnesota?
I do not think I would have had the opportunity.
So you believe God was working through all this?
Yes, I do.
And your experience in Kenya, good or bad?
Due to the fact that I want to go back there and marry my boyfriend.
Probably pretty good. Well, this is Christina's section of the PowerPoint here. A few animals.
Fashion.
This was on the way to
GYC,
GYC, right?
yes.
So there was a GYC in Kenya
Which you
when
did
we
not
got there.
attend.
No, I didn't. I was working on my sermon. And here's GYC.
Them singing a song. I do not remember which song they were singing.
All right. And this is on the way to our sites. There was 18 sites throughout Kenya. And so there were 18 pastors and at least two children workers per site, plus the medical team that traveled around.
I forgot about that picture.
This was actually on the way to church just before. This is a bus
the
ride.
guy who is standing is named Alex. He has been the mentioned person, or my translator, basically. This is on the way to Logorian.
Logorian is it was described to me as the kind of melting pot between the Maasai, Kisi, and other tribes, because it's only like 30 miles or 30 kilometers from Tanzania. There's a lot of different tribes that coalesce into Lolgorian. This is a view from the bus.
Rift Valley.
That's what that is. Okay. At the site in Lolgorian. I guess
Mrs.
they were, Andrea was part of the children's ministries, took several pictures with the kids, had a great time.
And that was one of the guys, African guys she fell for.
Teaching the kids. All right. And this is the site in Lolgorian.
No, that was the church that I went to.
That was the church that you went
Pastor
to.
Yabesh took me to.
Okay. There's a lot of people there. You
Yes.
know, in that area in Kenya, the ratio of Adventists to non-Adventists is like 5-1. So 5 non-Adventists to 1 Adventist. It's really, really neat. And their whole purpose of having us go over there is to double their membership. They've been working on it.
Over 1 year.
Well, they've actually been working on it since 2020, but their purpose is to double their membership. So from 2020 to 2025, they want to double their entire membership. That I don't know. I don't have
We
the
didn't
numbers to
ask.
that. I just thought that was a really big goal, and I was impressed with that, regardless of what the numbers are.
I don't know where I heard it, but I heard something like it'll be over 1 million when they double.
Why don't you just come up here?
I will. Are there any questions so far? What do we eat? We'll get to that. So we're not finished yet.
You look like you were 8 pounds.
Yes, actually, unfortunately, we did. I thought I was going to lose some weight. I don't think I
Did.
reached that goal.
I lost quite a few pounds.
Okay, this is Christina's site,
Yes.
and she was also
This
part of
is
the children's
VBS.
ministries in VBS. And
Another
there's
picture of my
Alex, the
translator
translator.
being a goofball.
Kids, there are so many kids over in Africa. It's amazing. I have a picture of the school. One of the school in the small town that we went to. It was crazy. Really.
Swahili.
Swahili is the main language.
And there are different dialects within Swahili, like Maasai, Tonga, Kisi, several different dialects.
You should say a few things in Swahili.
Hapana means no.
Okay, what does it say?
You went around. Why don't you get closer, dude, if you can't read it?
Can you guys read that? Okay, we'll skip it then. Here's
These are the individuals on the first Saturday that we were there. I don't need it.
yeah.
Okay. These are the few individuals that decided to get baptized the first Saturday that we were at the site. And I don't know, like 500 people that day got baptized, the total.
Total baptisms throughout the whole 18 sites was 892. Almost 900 people in 2 weeks got baptized. So here's the food.
This
I don't
is-
know that if you can guess what this is. What does it look like? Monkey brains, okay? Tater tots?
They're actually boiled bananas
Green
with
bananas. Boiled green bananas.
in tomato sauce. They don't
Tomato
have ketchup
sauce.
over there. They don't have ketchup. They have tomato sauce.
Tastes like potatoes.
It does.
Kind of really close.
Bananas.
Green bananas. Green bananas.
It's the way they cook them.
And they're, yeah.
They are
it's
delicious.
very interesting. I would have never thought that you could get a banana to taste like a potato.
I
But
wouldn't either.
it's a green banana, and it tastes very similar to a potato. Here's some more people that are
These are people that are singing.
singing.
They are singing at my site.
They sing before the preaching. They sing all the time. Every site. They'd have singers
Like
there.
a break in between each sermon. Like
Yeah.
they'd get up, go to the pulpit and start singing and stuff. It'd be awesome.
Here's more of the food. This here
It's ugali.
is ugali. It's pretty much
Stiff
just
porridge.
cornmeal, boiled to a stiff whatever,
Porridge.
and they use that
To eat everything.
with eating everything. This here is cabbage, and
That's
here is the
Chapati.
chapati, kind of like a tortilla.
and there's also rice with boiled eggs that actually come in a stew
Oh,
with
boiled
a
egg.
tiny bit of corn, which is actually really delicious.
So, oh, hold the mic up.
There is a there's the most common type of rice there is white rice, and they have this delicious way of making it, and they also put all sorts of stuff on it, like eggs in stews and lentil stew and all sorts of other stews and stuff they put on white rice to flavor it. No, they
it's
don't believe
not
in
spicy.
spice,
They've got
which depressed me.
They've got cilantro, but they don't have any spice. Like she was saying, the stews, lentil or pinto bean over the rice, and spinach, and they even cooked up pumpkin leaves. They cooked up the pumpkin leaves, and they had that to eat. Yeah, at my site, at Andrea and I's, where we were, every day for lunch, it was spinach and or pumpkin leaves, sautéed, stewed, or whatever, cooked. The ugali and rice, and that was every single day. I wouldn't mind if I don't see any lentils or beans for a while now, because it was every single day. Yes. No,
Actually, it's really cheap.
it's cheap. They don't have a hard. It's
It's
Where we
farmland. It's farmland
it
where
was
we were.
it was farmland. It was very hilly, very there was
Rolling
a lot
hills.
of rolling hills, but it was quite volcanic, nutrient dense land.
Nutrient rich.
Yes. It was
Savory.
It was savory. Yeah, they don't eat really sweet foods. I think Europeans are the ones that invented sweet, and so in Asia and now that I've been to Africa, I can say they don't really do sweet.
They don't.
As yeah, if you want American food, do sweet. But
Their
any other food.
fruit was delectable.
Yeah, there was
Pineapple,
fresh pineapple.
every day, fresh oranges that often didn't look like oranges.
I have a picture of a avocado tree. There's the macadamia nuts grew just anywhere and everywhere, and they're like a dime a dozen, and they're. I think I have a picture of a macadamia nut tree. Can't remember, but anyway, I so wanted to bring back some macadamia nuts because over here they're extremely expensive, right? But over there it's just like whatever, pennies. Wait, Eunice. Fruits. Answer. Portion size.
They encourage you to eat.
There is no limit.
There's
on
no
portions.
limit. There's no portions.
Um,
They encourage you to eat, and when you're full, they
espec-
encourage you to eat more.
Especially if you're the guest, they want you to
Be well fed.
be well fed, be at home, don't worry about anything, and they'll just lavish it on you. All right. So in Lagorian, we visited people in the mornings, talked to them about God, prayed with them. Close to 25 people got baptized from the site. The kids enjoyed the wazungu, or
Which
the
is Europeans or
European
white people.
And
And it's plural. Mazungu is singular.
visiting the schools was really fun. And here's Andrea in the Maasai
Dress.
dress. That's a blanket. Yeah.
Maasai dress.
Okay, Maasai outfit.
Outfit.
I have one back in the back. After the service, you can look at some of the stuff that I got from there. There's this necklace thing. It's all beads. It's really intricate beads. There's these things here, and they gave us, all of us, several people got many, what they're called is shukas, blankets that the Maasai just wrap around and wear.
You can use them for literally everything.
And I've got a picture of a guy using it,
As a
outer garment, but it's,
sometimes they don't wear any other things.
okay, sometimes. Most people that I saw wore this and wore underneath, but it helps keep them warm, it helps keep them cool, it helps, that's
Their blanket,
part
their,
of their everything.
soft bedding.
This is one of the medical missionaries that came around Lagorian the last half of the time we were there. And then we did a safari. Now, what happened when did anything else happen in Kenya?
This is the following day after this.
Yeah, I know.
Did you include it?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Then let them see for themselves.
So she's mentioned before we left, I want to get rebaptized. And I said, well, we'll see. We'll look at it. And she actually had the opportunity. After we went on the safari, we went on Thursday.
Friday.
Friday. And so this is the safari. Elephants.
This is the Tanzanian border.
Yeah. And here's the valley again. Really beautiful scenery.
Oh, yeah.
We saw a lion. Hippos.
Lots and lots of hippos.
Alligators. A herd of wildebeest. This was during the great wildebeest migration. Zebras. I think those are ikudu, aren't they?
Yes. And hippos laughing at something and then fighting. At least it looks like hippos laughing.
getting ready to finish our day of safari.
That's just beginning.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. And this is that's the view outside of LMS Church. While me, Andrea, and Lola were singing hymns at the top of our lungs.
So the safari ends, and she had the opportunity to get baptized.
Katika jina la Baba, jina la Mwana, jina la Roho Mtakatifu. Amina. Unatoa hiyo picha mzuri.
Hiyo tumechukua.
Oops,
You cut it off.
sorry.
Naomba kubatiza katika jina la Baba, jina la Mwana, jina la Roho Mtakatifu. Amina. Unatoa hiyo picha mzuri.
Hiyo tumechukua.
And this was the pastor here. This was his first time to
Baptized
baptize
Christina.
a Mzungu.
Mzungu, or a
White
white person.
Kuna mwenye amebaki huko.
But at this site, there was how many people baptized together?
A little over 30.
A little over 30 people baptized at her site. Yes.
No, we didn't.
Trust in God, right?
Yeah.
All right, you can go sit down. So, missions. How often is missions recorded in the Bible? The entire Bible is about missions, isn't it? It's God's mission for us, and it's our mission to God. Missions is serving the Lord through whatever means that God has given us. The Bible speaks of missions as service to God. Declaring the gospel to the nations is really the natural fruit of Christian worship, isn't it? That's what we are meant to do. If we just come to church and sit down and listen to the sermon, are we doing anything for the kingdom? Just getting started. Our worship goes, when we leave our church, we should be eager to interact with people and share with them what God has done for us. The nations, so lost that they cannot see their lostness, deeply need God's mercy in the form of missionaries. And that's what we were doing. We were sharing God's message of hope and salvation to people, and over 900, or close to 900 people got baptized in just a 2 weeks' time. We went door to door in the morning from like 9:30 to like 2 or 3. We would go door to door in this little town. I can only speak about what I did in Lalgorian, but Lalgorian is a gold mining town, and so there's shift workers. There was people home at all times of the day. We would go there, we'd walk around, and we'd go to somebody's home. We'd ask if we could pray with them. First of all, everybody in Africa, you go to somebody's house, you have to introduce every single person. Not just, hi, my name is David, and I want to pray with you. It's what you're there for, what you represent, who's your church, what's your hometown, and then the people at the house do the same thing to you back to you. And to me, it's like, wow, we'd stay at a single place, maybe half an hour, just doing introductions. I'm like, wow. But that's the way this culture was. It was important to know who you were, where you stood, and how we related to each other. Missions isn't a vanity project. It's not something that's going to lift you high up and it's all fluff and enjoyable. But neither is it the menial task or janitorial work of ministry. Missions is really the crowning work of Christian worship. It's worship at its best. We're telling others about what we have experienced, what we know about God, and how He has worked in our life. King David, he exalted missions, and Christ commands for, and the Apostle Paul ceaselessly labors for missions. When you remember, Paul says, when you remember, brothers, our labor and our toil, we worked night and day, and that we might not be a burden to any of you, while we proclaim to you the gospel of God. We're going there not to depend on the people, but so that through us they can get a knowledge of God. Psalm 96 says, "Oh, sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord, all the earth. Sing to the Lord, bless his name. Tell of his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory among the nations, his marvelous works among all the people." The Bible over and over again in 1 Peter 4, as each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. So it doesn't matter if I was talking to somebody, he's like, and I asked him if he wanted to go, ever thought about being a missionary. He's like, it depends on what you mean as a missionary, because I really don't think I can get up and talk to people, but I really enjoy helping. And so as we are good stewards of the varied gifts God has given us, you don't have to go somewhere and preach with words so much as live out your Christian values. This gospel, the Bible says in Matthew, this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. And in chapter 25, and the king will answer them, "Truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you have done it unto me." And of course, the Great Commission. Go therefore make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I commanded you. And lo, I am with you always. God wants us to do more than just sit and listen. He wants us to go out. He sent out his 12 apostles. He sent out his 72 disciples. In Acts 1, it says, "You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you. And you'll be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth." And then I like Romans 10. "For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. But how will they call on him who they have not believed? How will they believe on him whom they have not heard? And how are they going to hear without somebody preaching? And how are they going to preach unless somebody is sent?" as it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who preach the good news. Have you ever thought of missions as an act of love? It's an act of worship. It's all throughout the Bible. Have you ever thought of it as an act of love? Mission work is an extension of God's love for the world through the church to a particular people. Following the example of Christ, what was the example of Christ? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. In Mark chapter 5, it says, he did not permit him, but said to him, go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you. You don't tell somebody how much another's done for you unless you really love somebody, right? That person. And how he has had mercy upon you. And he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him. And everyone marveled. He said to them in Mark 16, go into all the world and proclaim the gospel to the whole creation. Sometimes people are afraid or frightened by what's going on in the world. When Eunice and I were in Korea, we got a call from my dad, and he's like, are you guys okay? Is everything all right? The news is just blowing up with what North Korea is doing. And we're thinking, no, there's really nothing going on. He's like, yeah, they've got these bombs, and they're threatening to nuke everything. And this verse, Deuteronomy 31:6, came to mind. Be strong and of courage. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them. For it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. When we were in Nairobi, when we first got to Nairobi, on Wednesday or something, I went downtown. I walked downtown. I was preparing again. I was going on a sermon walk. I was preparing for my sermon. And there were cops every once in a while, soldiers every once in a while. And I went back, and then the next day we left to our site or something like that. And it was then that the riots had broke out. Well, we were at our various sites. We saw in the news that in Nairobi, in the exact place where I was walking, there was looting and shooting, and several people had gotten shot. When we came back to Nairobi after 2 weeks, everybody said, you need to stay on Tuesday. You need to stay in the compound because there's supposed to be a really big riot again. And we did stay, and we saw the cops. The soldiers were right there at our location. We did see the cops, but we never experienced the magnitude that they expected to hear from the rioters. And I think again, God's not going to forsake us. He's going to protect us. So when we're on missions, we don't really need to worry about what could happen, because anything could happen. Anything can happen wherever you are, but God is going to take care of you. It says, many are the affliction of the righteous, but the Lord delivers them out of them all. Psalm 34. Psalm 121, the Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. And in the New Testament, 1 Corinthians 9, in the same way the Lord commanded that those who proclaim the gospel should get their living by the gospel. They should be compensated. So this is my slides here. And this is day one. So all the slides are just in chronological order. From the plane, I thought it was really incredible how the clouds up there, just God's creation. This is in the front of the compound in Nairobi. It's just a palm tree that I thought was interesting. It's kind of cool. Here is traffic in Nairobi. Not too much today because it was just before the riot was supposed to begin. But after the riots and everything, there was congestion. It took you 2 hours to get to that building right there. And I walked there in like 10 minutes. I mean, it's not that far, but the congestion is crazy. Some birds a robin with a red or yellow beak is kind of cool. KFC, Kentucky, nope, it's Kenyan fried chicken. Thought that was interesting. Here's the hotel that we were staying in Nairobi. It's called LMS, but what's that stand for? Yeah. It's the Adventist Health Center in Nairobi. Here's our group just before we left. You can see the president, me and kids and our group. That was just before a 6-hour ride to Kisii, not even where we're ending up. So this one here, this bird, it looks like a crow, right? It is a crow, but it's a crow with white. They've got 3 kinds of crows in Africa, in Kenya. And I thought, my goodness, we've got gypped. All we got is one black crow. So they got the black ones, but the majority of them are the white ones here, and they've got brown ones as well. So we were driving along, and you notice just little shacks here. And these little shacks are, one time they're called a motel or a hotel. This is actually the Rift Valley again that I took a panoramic. Yeah, see? Hotel Genesis in this little shack here. So as we were driving, I was thinking, I was getting more and more nervous. Am I going to be sleeping in something like that? And it turns out I could have, but mostly these are just places to have something to eat, a quick something to eat in a hotel. So the first Sabbath we were there, Seventh Day Adventist Church, Southeast Kenya Field, Magona. And so we went down to the valley there, went to a church, and I think all the kids in that church. And then, right up on the mountain, just within 5 minutes walking distance, is another church group that met, almost as large, and the speakers here. Everything's in the open. Everything's in the open. It was actually raining when we got there. We had to walk through the rain to get to there. And everybody's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for the rain." I'm like, it's better than the 85-degree heat. This is the hotel at Kisii. Our accommodations were in hotels like this. It was, they really took care of us well. We could have had the option to stay in stuff like this, but they provided the hotels, and it was a lot better. One of the rivers here on the way to Lolgorian. And this one here, the Maasai, they're herding, they're herders. So they just, instead of putting their money into a bank, they will buy a cow or buy a donkey or something, and they'll just herd their cattle along the road. No fenced in or anything like that, usually. This is where I was preaching. I was preaching on this, but again, the hotel, just inside, it's just a place to sit down and have a bite to eat. Nothing fancy. In fact, they mandazi, and the mandazi that was served at this hotel was kind of dry and kind of stale and not sweet, not salty, nothing. It's just a fry bread. That's what it is. Thank you, Christina. It was a fry bread, and it was nothing special, but that's what they'll eat if they're wanting to snack on something.
Is there a problem with obesity over there?
There were heavy people, yeah.
Eating that diet?
Incredibly, yes, there were heavy people, and it's interesting, yeah. So Ted, right here, I was working with a guy. He was a contractor, and I said, yeah, I am. One of my members is a contractor. He builds houses. What kind of houses? Well, in America we usually do wood. He's like, oh, so do you put mud in between the wood? I'm like, we don't do it like that. We don't do it like that. But this is what they do. This is for insulation, I guess. I mean, it's really nice because it was 85 degrees outside. Go into a house. It was nice and shady, it was cool because, yeah, about maybe 75, 70 degrees or something because of the insulation from the mud, I guess.
How thick are the walls?
They're about 8 inches thick. Yeah, they're about a good 8-inch foot thick. And here's a picture of just some goats running around. This is just in front of where I was preaching. I was preaching back over there. They're eating the garbage and doing whatever. This is a view out of my my window, just at the countryside. There's this house here. How many families do you think lives in there? That was at least 2, probably 4 houses, 4 cubicles. Yeah, it's either a duplex or a quadplex because they can cut it right down the middle here, 1 on each side. They're not very large, and you walk in, you're like, my goodness, how many people live in here? It's usually 6 to 10 people living in per doorway. It's incredible. Here's what I was talking about with the school. This is the government-funded school. Very nice, actually. There's another one here. Not so nice. Every door is a classroom, and all it is the tin walls separating and they reuse papers and stuff. It's very different from what we have. But you notice the children there. All that is one school. In Logorian, we visited at least 5 schools, and they all had at least that many students. Amy? Lots of kids. One family has lots of kids. Yes. Logorian is actually not much bigger than Thief River Falls, but the children, I think, outnumber the adults at least 5 to 1.
What's going to happen in 20, 40 years with that population? Will they be able to sustain it with their resources?
Well, they've done that for the past, however long. But this is one of the churches, not Adventist church, it's one of the churches, the way they do their building and stuff. Tin roof, concrete walls here for the church. They do use concrete, yeah. One of the, you notice here, they'll have, this was the supermarket, Bunko supermarket. And here, this is the shuka, the blanket. Everybody wears one of those, or a lot of people do. Grace shop. A lot of people have, most of the people, their American names is Christian. It's a Bible-based name, which was really incredible. In fact, when we'd go to the homes, we'd offer to pray with them. Nobody turned us down for prayer. Nobody. And with a ratio of 5 to 1, you know, everybody knows the Adventist, and they know that we're not scary people. So they're all like, okay, no problem. Even one of the other church pastors was like, hey, can I get a copy of that book that you referenced in your sermon today? And it's like the history of Christendom or something like that. Here's another picture of the wood house, mud house. This is what they do mining for gold. This is how they mine. This is one of the processes for mining for gold. They crush up the stones, they lay them out, and then they'll actually hammer them even smaller, and then they'll put them in a tumbler to get it to fine sand. And like I said, my pictures are chronological, so it's not something that you have that kind of makes sense, but just what I see from day to day. No running water. There's no running water. So this is how they wash their hands. And always before you eat, you wash your hands because they eat with their hands. And this is more of the site. Just the tin roofs, the very meager stuff. It's interesting, but they don't need a lot of insulation because it's so hot over there. You notice here it says car wash. So there's the car wash. This is right outside the hotel that we were staying in. Just the car wash. Not any specific place, just wherever you can find a spot.
Is there a central spot where they get the water and stuff?
Not central, no. I have slides a little bit later on a little bit of the housing, but it's like in in Bancroft apartments. You've got one row of apartments here, a facing row here. So that's what it is. And then you've got a well in the middle. So there's a group of about 12 apartments with a well, and then another group of about 12 apartments with a well. And that's how they do it. It's not a central well to a large area. It's more of a central well just to 10 or 12 families. But here's one of the medical centers, kind of just like a hole in the wall again. Maternity, family planning, very interesting. The herbal center, hardware, just different shops along in Lolgorian. This was a picture of the back end of the police station. They asked me to take a picture here. I was like, well, okay. But just a little shack here for a motorbike and fence there. It's very meager. It's very plain. Here's some kids that were always bugging me just before I preached. But notice this guy, he's working on a bike. they can actually overhaul a complete bike just out here in the middle of nothing. This is this is what they do for a living. They fix their bikes and they take people wherever, like a taxi, but it's just this on a bike. But even in the dust and whatever, they'll just fix up the bike and go on. Whereas we have to have it sterile and no dust and whatever. And here, this guy, he's the blacksmith, taking the sharpening the tools to mine out the gold. Sharpening the tools to mine out the gold. Somebody carrying something on their head there. And this is one of the houses that I was talking about. So this guy, his 4 babies here. In the back there was about another 3 or 4 people. This is the pastor that I was working with. He's always wearing a shuka. The children's ministries person that worked with Andrea. But he wanted me to take a picture. Or I asked if I could take a picture because I was just like, everybody lives in that area. If you cut it down here, the bed's over here, everything else is just like that. They don't spend much time in their house because there's not much room to do it. Here's an avocado tree. Just avocados everywhere. We had fresh avocados almost daily. And more kids and this is actually shops that were actually closed. This is the medical memorial hospital. We went over there. We were going to go there to pray with patients. We never actually made it. But it's clean, but it's very plain, very meager. And here's somebody drawing water at one of the wells. This is actually for the church, the Adventist church. And kids playing, more kids. Here's the contractor. He says he's got some rental properties and he was helping to build the church. In the background here, this is the bathroom. Those apartments, they wouldn't have bathrooms in the apartments. They're all at one end of the compound for every 10 to 12 families that have another outhouse type thing like that. Yes, yeah. And here's inside one of the houses. So you see there's the wall, there's some cooking stuff and some buckets, and here's a curtain. Behind the curtain is room enough for a bed. That's it. 10 to 12 people usually in this area. Incredible. That's in town. Here's another, more gold mining. He's hammering it down to this size by hand. And then they wash it out, and they use red mercury to take out the gold. But it's all by hand.
Mercury?
Yes, mercury. Back to Eden is actually Adventist owned. It's a juice shop. Fresh juice, fresh squeezed. They sweeten it with fresh squeezed sugar cane.
They also make a really mean tea.
And this is a storage container, just a 8x20 storage container that they've converted into this juice shop. And there's the owner right there. This lady is my translator, and she always insisted that I get something after I preach because it's supposed to, be good for the voice and help with fatigue and stuff like that. She did. She was a very nice lady. Here, again, this thing here was for the bikes. This is where the bike drivers would always stay to get customers. But they said, okay, you can have it for the next 2 weeks at such and such a time. One day we did not preach from this location. We actually went into the church, and the bike owners were actually kind of disappointed because they really enjoyed the messages they were hearing. This is the Adventist church at one end of the town. There's two of them. And at the front end, this is the guest room for the church. Not quite finished, but almost. And they usually meet outside because it's too hot. And here's the other church meeting outside. All the kids from that church here. And there's the squat pots again, the outhouse. Men, women. But these here, it's not just public toilets for like a church or something. That's what they have at all the housing developments. It's really, really different. And the shops, they're just simple tin shops. This is one of the nicer apartments. They've actually got windows in here, a nice color, and it's a little bit larger. And there's the well. There's still about 6 or 8 on one row, and then 6 to 8 on the other facing. So there's still about 16 to 18 people, our families, using this well. I don't know. I don't know how deep they are. I don't know. They're not that deep. They're not incredibly deep. And yeah, they wouldn't let us drink the well water. They always bought us water. Yeah. See there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But these are actually larger houses. You'll notice that most of them have satellites. They have electricity, they have TV, but they use solar energy a lot. And so they say, yeah, you can't really depend on the government electricity. You can depend on the solar a lot better. This was at a Maasai house in the country, and they asked us to pray with him. And he said, yeah, we're having some problems. There's the guy. He said, take a picture with my shuka. And you see his cattle out there and stuff. And so they insisted I take a picture with a shuka. But they were really appreciative of our prayers and how we were reaching out to the community with the love of Christ. And so we went at everybody's house. They really enjoyed the prayers. These were the people that we're working with. Again, my translator, the children's ministries, and she helped my translator a lot. And there we go at the juice shop getting some tea. This is like chai tea. It's got some turmeric and cinnamon. Really delicious. This is one of the hospitals a little bit out of town. It's clean, but it's bare. It's minimal. Got some stuff there, and like I said, we said the shukas. Here he's using it as his blanket to take a nap. They're used for everything. Insects, not as much as I had imagined, but there were. It was just like here. I mean, depending on where you were, if you were down closer to the water, or there was raw sewage running everywhere. There didn't have really good sanitation, so there was bugs around there, flies and stuff, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it could be.
Did they have showers?
Showers only in the hotels. I mean, in the complex, you had a shower room at the end where you just pour water over your head. It wasn't running water, it was just from the well. You take the well water, you go to the shower, you wash up, and yeah, it was very minimum. And so here's the safari elephants and me and the pastor. So I'm starting out with a white shirt because of all the dust and everything. I finish and my shirt is the same color as this rock. There was a lot of dust that day. This bird is a premium starling, and those are kind of like as prevalent as robins today. And then a monkey there, just out scenery there. Those are mongoose, some lions, lionesses, water buffalo, birds. Thought that was a nice contrast. The beautiful flower with the thorns. Hippos, lots of hippos. Yeah, don't swim. Zebras, birds. It was funny because at the top of these hills there were trees, but you see they didn't come down. The tree line is opposite. Instead of stopping here, it starts here. It's interesting. And so this is Sabbath. All the people that are wanted to be baptized at our site. And every Sabbath, no matter what, they always had at least one child dedication. This was just after this picture. They still, even though they were doing a special program, they still had the child dedication there. And this is one of the churches. They have everything here except for the roof. They said, well, we can't afford the roof yet. So take pictures and ask somebody to give us money.
Yeah. Those are all concrete, aren't they?
Yeah, this stuff is concrete. This is steel here.
Okay.
But this stuff is all concrete, yeah. And this is the last slide. It's 6 minutes long, but it's just baptisms from, I guess, her site, Angora.
Baba, asante kwa grace. Naomba kupatia katika jina la Baba, la Mwana na Roho Mtakatifu. Amina. Watu wapya. Baba, asante kwa Noa. Naomba kupatia katika jina la Baba, la Mwana na Roho Mtakatifu. Amina.
Notice they don't have any special robes. It's just come as you are, get baptized. I'm sorry?
They only have one washcloth.
Yes, just one cloth.
They actually have two cloths. But
So, yeah, that was mission in Africa. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for what you've given us, the comforts that we take for granted from day to day. And I pray, Lord, that as we think of missions, that we can remember and realize it's how we worship. It's service to you in whatever place you've set us, in whatever ability you've given us. We thank you, Jesus, for taking care of us, and we pray, Lord, that we can, throughout this next week, bless those that you've placed around us in proportion to how you have blessed us. In your name, amen.